All right. Well, welcome everybody to our very first DroneSense feature webinar. We're going to be doing these twice per month. We're really excited to be able to share with you our latest developments, exciting new features. Really, just give us an opportunity to share with you the tremendous things that we're working on, and ultimately, of course, get your feedback and hopefully help you get that stuff out there and operational as soon as possible. As I said, we're going to be doing these twice per month. Today, we're talking about flight planning. There's probably no more important feature set that we've been asked about over the last few months. This one, we're really, really excited to be sharing with you today. As far as, my name is Ryan Bracken. For any of you who might not know me, I'm the VP of Customer Success here and the Chief Information Security Officer. And I'm joined by an absolute cast of characters from the DroneSense team. Now, maybe in future webinars, you'll see some customers maybe floating in here. If you personally have a desire to be part of this, we'd love to have you join. So give me a call if you're interested in joining a future version of this. But today we've got, in addition to myself talking about this, we have some people you will know and some folks that you may not know. Josh Pruitt is my partner in crime here on customer success. Josh, you can say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And we have Brenda Hasso. I know every single one of you know Brenda. She runs our account management on this side. Brenda, can you say hi?
Hi guys, welcome.
And then, let's just be honest. There's absolutely nothing more intimidating than to describe or discuss or demonstrate a product in front of the people who built it. So throwing caution to the wind today, I've got with me the engineering team who have worked so hard to build the stuff that we're going to see today. It's not everybody, but it's some key members from our engineering team that I'm simply could not be more proud to have with us today. So we've got Eric, Rob, and Brooks from the engineering team. Eric, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hello, everybody. We're glad that you're here joining us today. I'm the VP of Engineering with DroneSense. I've been here nearly 4 years, and we're just excited to build these new features into the platform and looking forward to hearing some feedback from y'all at some point. Hit help@dronesense.com if you have anything that you'd like us to add to the product or change in some way. Glad to have you here today.
Yeah, and Robert and Brooks, if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourself as well, if you get your mics to work.
Sure. Hi, I'm Rob. I'm basically the lead dev on the iOS portion of our software. So all the flight planning stuff you're about to see is hard work into. So it works out well, and hope you guys enjoy using it.
And Brooks?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brooks. I'm our technical project manager on the dev team, in addition to doing QA and some customer support stuff. So some of you may have seen my responses on your support tickets, like Eric said. Yeah, happy to have everyone here and to see what we've been building, and excited to get this in your hands.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. We've already heard it mentioned twice now, help@dronesense.com, and I'm going to mention it yet a third time, and we'll talk about it again at the end. These are new features that are coming out. We push these out as quickly as we can to get you out there and operational as soon as humanly possible. We recognize that you may find usage scenarios that we haven't tested yet. Please reach out to us, help@dronesense.com. If you've got questions, maybe it's just additional training you need, we'd love to help you out. Please just reach out to us. Okay, so I'm going to share some slides. We're going to do it a little differently this time. I'm going to share some slides, and I'm going to show a video. I'm going to talk while that video is going. We'll see how that works out, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay, so here we are. It is January 2021, amazingly enough, and our mission is still to provide a secure platform for both current and future drone technologies. We want to empower you to use your drones as effectively as possible to improve your situational awareness and, of course, to save more lives. And the way in which we're helping deal with that mission today is we're talking about autonomous flight planning. Autonomous flight planning is one of the most important aspects, most powerful aspects of these drone systems. They know where they are. They've got great GPS information. They've got great flight controllers within the aircraft themselves. And so we're excited to talk today about how DroneSense is harnessing those capabilities to make your life more easy. So you can see down here for a long time, we've been saying coming soon. Here we go. So autonomous flight planning is now moving on up to the done category. So we've got that in there and ready to go. So supported aircraft and tablets. Right now, flight planning is designed for the DJI aircraft, Mavic and Mavic Pro series, your Enterprise series, as well as Matrice and Phantom 4 series. If you have aircraft that don't fall into those categories, call us. We'd love to talk to you about your requirements. And those flight plans can be created on either the iOS or Android mobile applications. We can't do that yet in our Ops Hub web interface yet. That's something, of course, we'll be working on. But right now, you can design and build these flight plans for your DJI aircraft on iPads and of course, your smart controllers in Crystal Skies. We've got, what's coming next. We'll talk about this at the end. But of course, we're going to build these capabilities for Parrot aircraft and Autel aircraft. Everything we support that has the capability of flying an autonomous mission, we're going to build those autonomous flight plan capabilities for. Got to stop hitting the wrong button here. Okay, so what are these autonomous missions? We've got three, really: waypoint missions, orbits, and surveys. So you can see this is not a very realistic flight plan, but here displayed is one that includes a survey, a few waypoints, and then an orbit. Generally speaking, we don't see all those in the same flight plan. Before we get started building a flight plan, though, let's talk about the home point. When you're connected to an actual aircraft, it's connected, it's got a GPS fix, it's gonna create its own home point. It knows where it is, it's gonna sync its home point, and it's gonna lock that home point in at takeoff. If you are not connected to an aircraft, or the aircraft does not have a good GPS fix, the first thing we want you to do is we want you to put a home point down on the map, and that allows us to make an accurate flight plan, total time estimate, and it also will allows you to save the flight plan should you need to. So let's talk about waypoints. If you are creating this flight plan, we already created our home point, so you can see that little home point there near my house. The next is we're going to create a waypoint. So we'll tap on, if you can see my mouse, we're going to tap on this little waypoint icon and then drop that waypoint where we want to. Particularly on iOS, it's very easy. If you click and hold on that, it will actually show a magnifying glass and kind of show you where, in precise detail, where you want to drop it. And you can do the same thing on Android as well. So you're going to select your speed, your altitude. You're going to tell it what to do next. Once it gets to that waypoint, do you want it to stop and hover, or do you want it to continue on to the next waypoint item? Depending on your mission, you may want it to do different things, so select that. The other thing you may have, and this is really important for search and rescue type scenarios, you may have precise location coordinates that you want to enter. This is an active field. Just click on that, edit that field to be exactly what you've been given for a GPS coordinate, and that aircraft will fly to the exact point that you want to. So that's an important facet of waypoints. Once you're happy with all that, you're just going to click on Add to Plan or Update Action, and you'll have saved that now to your flight plan. Waypoints, the nice thing about waypoints is once you've selected a waypoint, you've configured those details, the next waypoint you enter, it's going to automatically assume that you're going to try to do the same speed. So if you said 10 miles an hour at 150 feet, every waypoint you select is going to use that configuration. One thing to keep in mind when you're creating a waypoint mission, and this is particularly important if you're flying near obstacles or changing terrain altitudes, one is that the drone is going to fly at the speed and altitude of the upcoming waypoint. So here, if it's flying from home to 1, it's going to climb up to whatever altitude and speed you set for waypoint number 1. And then from waypoint number 1 to 2, in this second leg, it's going to fly to the altitude and the speed that you selected for waypoint 2. Why is that important? You have to be thinking about terrain and obstacles. If you're flying near rising terrain, for instance, make sure each waypoint, if you're flying over the top of a ridge and you want to drop down to a lower altitude, make sure you think about having a waypoint maybe at the top of the ridge to make sure you achieve the right altitude as you go over that. Now, obstacle avoidance and all those technologies may save you in the end, but you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to create a safe and effective flight plan. The other thing I need to point out here is that all altitudes are measured above your launch location. So this is not above ground level, above the ground level that it's over. So if you're flying over a hill or over a valley, all these altitudes are going to be fixed from your launch location. So flight time estimates are awesome. They will help you understand how long the flight it may be. And then one nice thing we can do here is to save your work for next time. So if you click on save, that's going to bring up this next modal, and you can just type in a flight plan name and then hit confirm, and that will be saved locally to your device. Saving these flight plans to the cloud is also coming very soon. Okay, after waypoints, we now have orbits. Orbits are, we have found that they have become very popular among people, both in fire type situations as well as law enforcement, where you want to provide an overview of a particular area, a particular scene. So again, you're going to drop this orbit. So you just click on this orbit, drop it where you want. You can again move it where you want to, then enter your name, speed, altitude, which direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. And also a nice feature here is that you can configure whether you want to keep the drone pointed on basically to the center, which is usually how you'll use an orbit, or in certain like search and rescue type scenarios, you may want it to basically follow along the path, and then keep increasing the size of the orbit and effectively do a expanding concentric circle search that way. If you have precise coordinates, again, you can place those in the location and get that very precisely. All right, surveys. On to something that I think most of you hear when you say, I really must have flight planning, yet generally you're talking about surveys. Some people are talking about orbits and a few are talking about waypoints, but surveys are the real raison d'etre for our discussion today. So if you want to build a survey, first thing you're going to do is click on this little survey icon, draw the vertices out to sort of encapsulate the area that you're interested in. I always encourage people to capture a little bit more than they think they need. It's always easy to delete photos. It's a lot harder to add them later. So, be generous when you build these flight plans. You can, again, adjust your name, set a speed, altitude, and ground sampling distance. This is, as much an art as it is a science. If you were to survey everyone on this call today, and there's some true experts actually listening in, which of course is just as scary as having the engineering team watch me do this, you need to really fly a lot in your conditions, in your terrain, with your background, at the times of day that you fly and the weather conditions, and understand what speeds and altitudes and ground sampling distance are going to produce the type of product that you're looking for. Here I've set it up for 10 miles per hour at an altitude of 115 feet, which generates a ½ inch per pixel for this particular camera. If you have a larger format camera, you're going to probably have to fly higher to get that same ½ inch per pixel. And then I've got it set for a gimbal angle of 90 degrees. Now, if we switch over here to the overlaps tab, you can adjust those overlaps. If you're flying an ortho mission like this, you may want to set 80% front and side overlap. That's recommended by a number of companies for their orthomosaic creation. And if you want to fly a double grid, a 3D mode, you'll click on that 3D mode, and that's going to basically create that double grid mission, taking photos in all four of those directions. Hit update action, and that will become part of your flight plan. So now the question is, you've done that, you've saved things, you come out the next day, you want to fly that exact same flight plan. How would you do that? You're going to click on load here and select your desired flight plan, and then just simply hit confirm, and you're ready to go. It's going to load that in. It'll adjust it to whatever parameters you have. So if you're connected to a different drone, it will adjust things to achieve those same capabilities. But we always recommend You are the pilot in command. When you go fly, make sure that it hasn't adjusted to an unsafe altitude, whether it's too high or too low. Maybe airspace or obstructions are an issue where you're flying. Make sure you quality control every flight plan that you make before you hit the big button to go. All right, so I'm going to try this video demo. We're going to get this kicked off, and I'm going to do my best to kind of talk over as we go. Now, first of all, I just want everyone to know it was about 30-something degrees. I was out here in a legal location to fly, a little sliver of airspace between Dulles and the flight restricted zone, and I'm using a Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. So we're gonna create a. I'm going to use a satellite hybrid base layer. Generally speaking, as long as they're relatively up to date, and as you see, I zoom in and zoom out, you're going to get different tile layers. You're going to want to think about what base layer to use when you build these flight plans. If it's out of date, if it's old, particularly in this area where you have lots of construction, it can be misleading. So just make sure you, again, sanity check before you hit go. So here I've clicked on the survey. I'm going to move the vertices out to encapsulate this area. Again, if I'm just trying to get an orthomosaic, a 2D image of this parking lot, I'm going to be very generous about capturing basically outside of the lines there to make sure that I've got a good product inside of that important area, in this case, the parking lot. So I'm setting my speeds, setting my altitudes and ground sampling distance. As you can see, I move the altitude. It's going to, of course, adjust your GSD. So I'm dropping this down. I'm not sure what I end up ultimately selecting, but I've also selected here a gimbal angle of 90 degrees. So this is going to be looking straight down. So over the overlaps tab, I'm going to select, I think, probably 80 and 80% on our overlaps. And as I do that, you'll begin to see it add basically additional routes to cover that. So here's with the 3D mode turned on. So if you're going to do a 3D image of this parking lot, then you do that, but we're not doing that today. Okay, so I've updated that, added to the flight plan. I now have a flight plan ready to go. Now to fly, all I need to do is press the little play button, and we're going to take off. Now I've got an extended delay here because I think I was hassled by somebody from the park, but whatever the case, I've tapped the Go Now button and we're taking off. So you can see in the lower right, the little picture window, it's going to climb straight up to the altitude that you've selected. And it's going to basically climb in its current location until it gets to that altitude. All right, stopped at its 232 feet. It's now going to transition to its first photo location. It's going to get there, make its turn. It's now uploading. As we're talking, it will have uploaded that flight profile and begin flying. So now it's flying along that path. Every time it flies past one of those little white dots, you're going to see a little pause in the collection, and that's because it can't transmit video while it's actually collecting that image on the camera for this particular camera. So as it flies along, you're going to see those little pauses. In this little window, we've got one of our teammates, Eric Thompson, also on the engineering team. Really appreciate him doing this. He was actually, he did a screen capture of his computer down in Austin while I was flying this up in Northern Virginia. So this is actually what Ops Hub looks like while you're flying this mission. So as it's flying along, you can see a viewer anywhere in the world can be logged in, viewing the location of the drone and also seeing the video as it flies. So now it's flown its second leg of 3. And as it flies along here, you can see, again, that it's looking straight down. Sometimes this is what you're going to want for an orthomosaic mission. If you're flying for a three-dimensional 3D mission, or if you're using this as a search and rescue type mission, you may want to have a gimbal angle of 60 degrees or less so that you can see vertical objects. You can probably see where I'm standing there in the lower left-hand portion of the parking lot. Very hard to see that looking straight down. A person takes up a very small number of pixels in that orientation. So we're making the last pass here on the last leg. We get down to the very bottom of that, And since there's no other waypoints, there's no other mission for this to complete, you're going to see returning home pop up, and that drone is going to zip back at a pretty good clip back to its launch location. This is that home point that it's set prior to takeoff. So it's returning autonomously again back to its launch location, and it's going to begin descending. And it's going to descend all the way down to just a few feet off the ground. Then when it's going to hand the controls back to you, you'll fine tune it and actually tell the drone to land. Of course, we've got Josh on the call here. He's going to be critiquing my camera work as a professional photographer. He's going to be this is science, not art, Josh. So please, no comments. So we're now landing, fine tuning our location and then putting it down. Okay, so now that has completed the mission. You can see the flight path where it was. And this is the point where, hey, if you liked the results, you liked what it did, this is the time to save it if you haven't already. And it's going to ask you that before you close that out. It's going to say, hey, do you want to save this? In this case, I've saved it as ortho flight. And of course, those are the pretty, you can tell that was not hand flown. If I had flown that by hand, those lines would not be nearly straight. So I've cleared that flight path. Those can be distracting, particularly if you've been doing a lot of flying. We have customers that have flown protest events and other things where you have a tremendous amount of flight activity. Make sure you go through and clear out those flight paths if they're not working for you, if they're just too much. Okay, so now we're going to do a waypoint mission. So I'm going to fly this at a pretty good clip. We're going to fly this at 24.5 miles an hour, an altitude of 105 feet. And you can see me here, I've dropped that waypoint, but I wasn't happy with where it was. So I'm now adjusting that over to be precisely in the location that I'm looking for. Now I'm going to add another waypoint. And what I want you to see here is that it's going to automatically, by default, have the same speed and altitude as the last one. So if you just want a nice level, constant speed flight plan with waypoints, it's very quick to enter. These waypoints sequentially. And we've had people with hundreds of waypoints in their flight plans. So yeah, I'm adding these to kind of do, maybe we're doing some sort of perimeter search. We want to search just the perimeter of this field. So we're adding now a fourth waypoint and a fifth. It's going to come back along the tree line, and then we'll add one more, I think a sixth waypoint, just to get it away from the trees a little bit on its way back. And once we're happy with that, all we have to do now is press this little play button up here. And then go now. And the aircraft, once that go now is pressed, the aircraft will be given the basically the takeoff signal, and you'll see the props spin up and the aircraft will take off. Again, with waypoints, with all of our mission types, it's going to take off straight up. It's not going to begin moving laterally until it's achieved that altitude that you've selected for that first waypoint. And we do that, of course. It's not the most efficient way to fly, maybe not the way a human would fly, but we do that for safety. We want you to be able to expect exactly where the aircraft's going to be at what altitude. So Eric has been kind enough to put that window in there. Again, that's from the ops hub view. So the aircraft now is zipping along. This is much faster than a survey mission. We're looking to do maybe just a quick survey of this area. So it's already passed this first waypoint onto the second one, which was over the over that little stand area, and now it's moving along toward the tree line. Now I'm going to do something here. You may notice it. I'm going to click on the lock on drone here, and maybe you'll see that. And that makes it a lot easier. If you're flying a very dynamic mission, instead of having to move the map along by hand to keep up with the aircraft, you can actually just click that, and it's going to keep the drone centered in the map. And as we fly along back, I'm going to switch to full camera mode. It looks like I'm closer to the trees than I am. I promise I'm at least 3 feet from those treetops, doing 25 miles an hour. And And of course, now we're coming back along to that last waypoint. So you can tell from the Ops Hub viewer side, well, they may not have seen what my waypoints were. It becomes pretty clear as the aircraft flies through the sky, and they can see what I'm looking at. Again, the same thing. It got to its last waypoint. After the last waypoint, there's nothing else for it to do, so it's going to return home and begin its descent. And it's going to give that little red note up there on the top, which I'm such a big fan of, letting you know that not only has it come back to your location, but it's come on down. Of course, we continue to say, please put your, some sort of landing pad out, cones, rope off the area if you can, because if somebody has parked a police cruiser or a fire truck there where that drone took off, since you took off, it's going to come down and land in that area. Hopefully, obstacle avoidance will take over and you won't have an issue, but that's the full flight. Okay, so you just saw in 10 minutes there, 2 full missions. They're very quick to build, very quick to execute. I hope you'll try them in all their different manifestations with orbits, waypoints, and surveys. And of course, we're always standing by to help. So let me see if I can unfull screen this. All right. Okay, so the question now you're all having is, when can I get this in my hands if you don't already have it? If you have Android devices, so if you're flying the Smart Controller or the Crystal Sky, you should already have it. If you don't see this popping up as an option, please go through the update process. And those instructions are well explained. If you have any issues with those at all, hit us on help@dronesense.com. We'll talk you through, make sure you get your Android devices up to speed. If you're using iOS, this is coming out hopefully this week. Of course, we always have to build in a little delay for Apple to go through the review process on the app, but with any luck, that will be out this week, and I could not be more excited. The version I just showed you on the video is actually just a week or so old. The new version, the iOS team has been moving so fast on this. I'm very impressed with it. So yes, iPads will be coming out this week, hopefully by the end of this week. iPhones will be coming in a very soon in a release, subsequent release. Just a little bit more to pack into that little iPhone size form factor. So iPads this week, iPhones coming very soon. If you have any questions about flight planning, how to use it, how it works, limitations, strengths, weaknesses, we will answer them all. Hit us at help@dronesense.com. Please also check out support.dronesense.com for a bunch of really useful training materials and troubleshooting materials. All right, we really appreciate your time and attention through what we just consider one of the most exciting components of flying drones in general, and that is to make them do the work for you. If you have any questions at all, please contact us. We'll be happy to answer those questions. Thanks, everybody. Please be safe out there. We're really grateful to be able to serve you guys. We are really proud of the work you've done. 2020 was a brutal year for everybody, but we're incredibly impressed by the ways you all adapted and provided those life-saving services through some really difficult times, and we're really grateful to be able to support you in that. So thanks, everybody, for joining. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. We'll be sending out those links tomorrow. And again, we'll make the recordings available and look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.